Hello and welcome to another edition of Diaspora Weekly. My name is Jermaine Nkrumah and you're on DNT, Diaspora Network Television. Today I have a friend, and a very special friend, a guest, but like we always do, before you get to meet my guest, we go to the jungle. So what's the jangle today? Leading up to the election, I had the opportunity to speak to a young man. I was buying some fish from him on the beach road between Sakumono and Tema. And as I was talking to him, I said, "What's your name?" He tells me his name. "What grade are you?" He says in JHS. So I'm saying, "Great, so you like what's coming, the free SHS." And then he was quiet for a moment. And then I asked why, what's wrong? And he said, "Well, I've been told that the money could be used for something else." I said, "Oh, really?" And so I got talking to this young man. First question I asked him, I said, "Oh, so your father sent you to school, didn't he?" He said, "Yes." "Your father must be a very rich man. Does he own a big house?" He said, "No." "Does he have a nice car?" He said, "No." "So your father doesn't have a whole lot of money, right?" He said, "Yes." "But he saw it important to send you to school. Why do you think he did that?" Then the young man goes, "Well, because education is important." I said, "Oh, that's the conversation that should be blown up to the rest of the country, because some have sought to make believe that this education, the free SHS, is not important. The money could be used for something else." But let me ask you this, the viewer. As a parent, you are foregoing that nice car so you can send your child to school. In fact, you look at the things that you forego so that you can send your child to school. If that standard is good for your family, what makes you think that standard cannot be applied to the whole country? And so for those who have made it a habit to say that all the money that we're spending on free SHS, we could have used the money for something else, I want you to look at your life and tell me if other things are more important than your own children's education. You're sending your children to school and foregoing a whole lot of other things because you see it's important. That's the thinking behind free SHS for the whole nation. So this has been the jangle. Think about it. We'll be right back and you get to meet my important guest. Stay tuned.
Are you expecting money from your relations abroad? Have you ever been defrauded of your money remittance? Open an ADB account today. Send your name and your account number to your relations abroad. Ask them to use MoneyGram direct to account service and receive your money in your account in minutes. With MoneyGram direct to account service, there's no PIN code wahala. You can now access your money on all ATMs in Ghana or send it to any mobile money wallet using ADB mobile banking app or shortcode *767#. Visit our branches nationwide to conveniently receive your Western Union, MoneyGram, RIA, Unitylink, Transfast, and Express Money transfers. Reach us on our Facebook, website, or call our hotline on 0302 210 210 for more information. ADB, truly agri and more.
Welcome back. This is Diaspora Weekly. My name is Jermaine Nkrumah. I'm blessed, honored to welcome to the studio, to my show, the one and only Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum. My brother, welcome.
Thank you for inviting.
Very good. How things been?
Things are good. Things are good. Yeah.
You look like things are good. You look $1 million. When I grow up, I want to become a deputy minister.
Wow, you don't know the adventures of a deputy minister.
Okay. I've heard some stories, and so I think I'm fine where I am right now. Welcome.
Thank you.
So let's, this is Diaspora Weekly. You're a member of the Diaspora.
Yes.
And so what we're going to do is we'll take you from the beginning. At some point, you're born and raised here.
Yes.
And at some point, you decided you wanted to travel.
Yes.
What was the thinking? Why did you travel?
What was the thinking? Very interesting question. In the 1990s, there was this IMF policy freezing employment of university graduates.
Okay.
So when we finished our national service in 91, job opportunities were limited because those of us who were training professions where you ultimately will end up in the public service, there was nothing to be done. We went to sit in offices, hoping against hope that the embargo will be removed and lifted so that we can find a job. It was dragging on for some time, and every one of us began to say, some of us who had opportunity said, why don't we go somewhere and do whatever we have to do, because life was not easy here.
Wow.
So we were motivated to look for opportunities for education and get into schools and do what you can to pay your fees and work as you went to school. So different things were happening at the time, and the motivation was, why don't you go somewhere and try your luck and see what will happen to you there.
What will happen? So you said, I heard you mention that you were trained in a specific profession where, what area were you trained in?
Land economy.
Land economy.
Yeah, my undergraduate degree was in land economy.
So let me guess, you went to KNUST?
Yes, the best university in the world.
Now, you know what? I want my producer to hear this, because when I tell them, they don't want to understand. They think there's a university down here, it starts
they call
with
themselves
L.
University of Ghana and all those things.
A house with an L.
Yeah, Legon. I don't know about them.
I mean, but that's another thing altogether. That's the one university in Ghana. So you studied land economy. And what's land economy? The name sounds very nice, but what's it about?
Yeah, that's the kind of question my dad asked me, somebody who was uneducated and from
land economy.
What did you do? What were you doing?
When we talk about economy, we're talking money.
Land economy.
When you're talking land.
Economy. Actually, it's a very interesting course. A course that gives you a very broad perspective from building construction to surveying to computer programming. But the whole idea is there are different pathways. This day they split it. Yeah, when we were there, land economy was everything, encompassed everything you could do from appraisal, which American we call appraisal, but here they call valuation.
Okay.
Yeah, and then estate management, property management, and all those kind of things.
Those are all entwined in land economy.
Yeah, but now they split. I hear there's a land economy and estate management degree program.
Okay.
And those days there were quite a few of us.
Okay.
I remember my class that year about 200 people applied and they took 15.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very difficult to get in.
To get into land economy.
Yeah, it was very difficult. Nowadays, I hear they are taking so many people. But we did agric, we did forestry. It gives you a very
everything into land economy.
Because you see, when you have to do an appraisal or evaluation, and maybe a forest, then you have to do evaluation of it for somebody to buy. You have to know the value of the trees and all those things. And it may be a farm with animals and other things in there. You have to appraise livestock. You have to appraise. So basically, government is taking over through compulsory acquisition a certain part of the country, and there may be cocoa trees there, and you have to appraise them. And building a road, and some buildings.
So that's really a broad program.
Very broad. And then we did law every year from jurisprudence in the first year all the way going to land law during the final year. Every semester you took a law class. And it was very interesting, very, very interesting course that gives you a very broad perspective on life, and you can then begin to look at, I can literally fit anywhere that I want to fit.
Yeah. So when you finished school, what, until the thought about traveling got into your mind, what were you looking at?
I mean, my whole thing was, I've done land economy, very prestigious course at the time. I want to work for Land Valuation Board or go to the Lands Commission. At that time, they were split into two. So I did my national service at Land Valuation Board. I had a wonderful opportunity of doing
because of the freeze, they couldn't
the
hire
country.
you.
Yeah, they couldn't. I remember after national service, we used to go and just sit there.
Wow.
And our boss will assign us to assist those who were the full-time employees. And
without getting paid?
No, without getting paid. And after you finish the work, maybe somebody give you a tip or something.
Wow.
So that's what we're doing. And,
wow.
And a number of people decided, why don't I seek? Those days we call them greener pastures. So
Right,
we're going to seek
right.
greener pastures.
So when you thought about traveling, there are a lot of countries. Why United States?
Of course, even now, those days and even now, America is the country.
America is the place to go.
The place to go. You hear about the American dream and begin to look at, okay, what is it?
Wow.
What is it that I can see in America that I'll
Right.
never find in Ghana? And the hype was so strong that if I had to choose, of course, I would choose America.
Wow.
Yeah, the place where I believe dreams could come true.
Dreams, people go rags to riches and all that.
Yeah.
You're right. And so, but it wasn't easy getting there.
Of course, it wasn't easy, but we got there.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, for me, I had to go through about 5 countries to get there. What was your trip like?
Oh, no, I went straight.
Straight?
Yeah, straight.
You were the lucky one. How'd you get a visa at the
Of
time?
course, I mean, it depends if you have the resources. And
Okay.
my brother was in Germany, and
Okay.
the resources
Well,
I
there.
could show.
Oh, yeah, your brother was in Germany, so he could.
Yeah, he could support.
Man, that's lucky. Every time I see, first and foremost, let me ask what secondary school you went to, so I'll decide whether we're going to continue to be friends or not.
Senior high school, I went to Diaspora Senior High School.
Yeah.
The O level, Kumasi High School, A level.
Kumasi High, okay.
Yeah.
I have a confession to make, and I hope nobody is watching. Those Premper boys and the Opokwara boys,
they think they are all that, and nobody else is better than
not
them.
only that, I hate them.
You hate them. Why? They used to hoot at you at the sports stadium.
No. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, me, the only problem I have with them is they took my girls from me.
Oh, I see.
You know, I went to Texec.
Okay.
So, you know, they'll come out with this, Premper guys.
Opokwara.
So as long as you didn't go to any
Oh,
of
no,
those
I
two,
didn't go to those
we're
schools.
fine.
I couldn't have gone.
Why?
My dad could not afford.
Oh,
if I were to go there. No, I had to stay at home.
You're making a case for them. You make it sound like it's some prestige.
No, but it was expensive to go. You had to buy a trunk, right?
Yeah.
And they had to pay boarding fees, right?
Wow. Yeah.
My dad couldn't have afforded that.
Okay.
So going to Yachipram was God sent that there was a school in my hometown, and I could go as a day student and come back home, pound some fufu, eat.
You too?
Yes.
You went to high school and came to pound fufu?
Of course. That's what I had to do for about 2 years before I got a scholarship.
Wow.
Cocoa Ball scholarship.
Cocoa Ball,
and then
okay. So it was easy, and then you get to United States.
Yes.
Where did you go? What state?
Went to California.
California.
Went on a bus from New York.
Jesus
Greyhound bus from New York
Christ.
all the way. 3 days and 3 nights I was on a bus. But I was so happy. And I was seeing landmarks, Yellowstone National Park, something that we study in geography, and all of a sudden I was seeing it with my naked eye. It was the most exciting time of my life to be on the bus.
For 3 days.
Exploring America. And,
wow.
From various cities to another city, you change buses. And the interesting thing was when I was so hungry, and the only food I could find was hot dog. And I thought it was dog meat. So I was not going to eat it. So at every one of the Greyhound stops, the food that was there was hot dog. So I called the person that I was going to be with in Los Angeles, and I said, "Comfort, what's going on?" I thought Americans love dogs and they don't eat dog meat.
I'm sorry.
But
you ended up eating it because you were hungry.
because now they told me that, oh, no, it's not dog meat.
They told you before you ate it, or you were forced to eat.
I called my host family, and I said, I'm so hungry. The only food I can get to eat is dog meat. A food that is made of dog meat. They call hot dog. And he said, no. And then from there, I was able to eat something to fill my belly.
The reason why I'm laughing so hard is that was going to be my next story, because everybody has a story. When you get to America, I don't care who you are. If they don't tell you, they have their own story. You know what my story was? Cigarettes. You know, at that time, we had like 5 Tosca Embassy in Ghana. I go, and my first job is a convenience store. And these people come and they throw money there, give me a cool filter cane light 100. And I look at what looks like a movie screen. Where am I going to find a cool filter cane 100? And so I'll dip this one, and then they'll curse you out. So, what are you blind? I said, so. I'm having a difficult time hearing it. And so my story, it was very, it took me about 3 months for me to master all those cigarettes.
Yes.
And then there's a story about root beer.
I thought it was beer too. I was not going to drink it.
Oh, you too?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, a friend of mine, we went to lunch, right? And then he asked, what drink are you getting? Because we don't even drink water. You're looking for this. And then he said, oh, root beer. I said, no, I don't drink.
I don't drink.
I didn't know it was a soft drink. I thought it was a true beer.
Wow.
I was not going to drink during lunchtime to be fine when I go back to work.
Wow. So it seemed like when we get off camera, there's a lot of stories to talk about this American dream. But so now you went in there, California, and then you settled in. And then what next?
I mean, the interesting thing was that like all immigrants, you go in and do whatever you can find.
Okay.
In Los Angeles, the easiest job I could find was to be a security guard.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got a job, wore my security clothes.
Wow.
And then I remember the security guard that was at Land Valuation Board.
Oh,
I was
really?
saying to myself, wow, I'm like him now.
Okay. So Land Valuation Board in Ghana?
No, it reminded me of the security guard who was at the Land Valuation Board when I put on my clothes.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, this was me in Ghana.
That's right.
University graduate, a chip over your shoulder. Very few of us could go to the university, find myself in America, and now I'm a security guard. And I was looking at this, I call it status devaluation, right?
Status devaluation. Let me write that down.
So coming from Ghana, where few people could go to the university, so proud of yourself, and then get to America, you are at the bottom of the totem pole.
That's right.
Where you are a security guard, and everybody in the company look down on you.
Of course.
And they don't even think
even
that
those who have
school.
not stepped in university
because
before.
they can't imagine you being a university graduate because if they were university graduates,
they won't be doing
that.
Yeah.
So when they see you, they don't believe that you know anything. They don't believe that you've gone to school.
Of course.
I remember when I went back to the store where I was a security guard after I got a job as a teacher, they couldn't believe it.
That's right.
They said, are you a teacher? I said, I'm a teacher. I'm a university graduate.
That's right.
And I said, why were you working here? I said, you don't know what immigration is about. What life as an immigrant is an interesting thing. But, looking back, coming back here, I would not exchange that for anything.
Oh,
that was the most rewarding experience I've ever had. It changed me as a person. It made me the most humble person you can ever find because I know how it feels like being at the bottom. I know how it feels like when you are being looked down upon. I know how it feels like being a minority and being an immigrant and people are looking down on you because you are an African. People look at you and laugh because you are from Africa. Ask you, do you guys sleep on trees? You are the butt of all jokes. And that begin to really help you conscientize yourself to see that in Ghana, when I go back, I should respect everyone. Because I know how it feels like to being respected.
Very good. And that humility is reflected in the Honorable Minister's activities. And when we come back, we'll get into that. This is Diaspora Weekly. Stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Kofi Opon Ochre, and I bring you NASA on DNT, a program designed to expose corruption and indiscipline in our society and advocate for the punishment of these offenders whose activities impede national development. The National Road Safety Commission indicates that Ghana loses $230 million to road accident, with over 1,600 deaths recorded every year. In 2018, Shraj report indicated that Ghana loses 13.5 billion Ghana cedis to corruption. And United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF has also stated that Ghana loses $290 million to poor sanitation alone. This is not right. So make a date with me, and together let's name and shame the offenders of the law. NASA, see something, say something.
Welcome back to Diaspora Weekly. This is Jermaine Nkrumah, and I'm blessed to have with me a very good friend and a special guest, my friend, the Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Adutwum, Deputy Minister of Education and MP for Bosomtwe. Welcome again.
Thank you.
Very good. Before we left, you were talking about humility and, some of the things that you go through in life, and it shapes you for the rest of your life. So let's go over on. I know that what you did in California, your first few jobs, armed you with being humble. But professionally, you clearly didn't work as a security guard for a long time. You evolved. What did you do beyond that?
Beyond that, after about 1.5 years of working as a security guard, I then was fortunate to have been hired as in the US they call substitute teacher.
Okay.
Yeah, in Ghana, when a teacher doesn't come to school, maybe a head teacher will come and write something on the board.
Yeah.
In America, if a teacher doesn't come to school, somebody has to be there.
Right.
So when they make you a substitute teacher, they will just call you up early morning around 5 a.m. And tell you are supposed to go to school A because the teacher there is not there. You have to go and take over.
Okay.
There are times when you go there and because the person may have a maternity leave issue, may be there for a month. There are places where you may do for a day, and there are times when you are there for 3 months, 6 months. Depends upon the situation. So I taught.
At what level?
I taught at the junior high school level, and then high school level. And then after being a substitute teacher for 1.5 years, another 1.5 years, I had a wonderful opportunity of being hired as a mathematics teacher.
Okay. So you teach maths?
Yes.
You taught maths
at high school.
I'm scared of you.
And then after 5 years of teaching math, those were the boom days of Silicon Valley, where everything was IT, and I had a wonderful opportunity then getting certified in IT. And I became IT teacher at the high school level.
Wow.
And I also taught accounting and other subjects. So together, I did it for 10 years, teaching high school. And I had a wonderful time. It also made me become aware of how you need to really relate to kids in order for them to understand you. You know, here the teacher is the king. You're aware there's a bond and whatever you say. But in America, you really have to get the children to even like you first and begin to really appreciate what you are teaching them.
I have there's this joke that I saw, maths teachers. He said, hello, maths teacher, don't ask me to find your ex. She's not coming back to you, and don't ask me why. You get it?
Because everything about algebra is about x, right?
And y.
X plus 2,
and
y.
It says, don't ask me to find your ex. He's not coming back to you, and don't ask me why.
You do simultaneous equations.
Oh my
x plus y equals to 10. 2x minus y equals to 8, and then solve for x and y.
And somebody asked me, what in my life am I going to use that for?
Hey, mathematics. Let me tell you a story.
Maths 1 plus 2 years.
When my students were asking me those questions in the US, I gave them an example of what happened to me when I was doing appraisal in Ghana, doing valuation, specifically Obuasi. There was a road that had affected the mosque, and I was supposed to appraise that so that the mosque owners will be paid by the government. I walk into the mosque and it was a perfect circle.
A perfect circle.
How do I find the area? Pi r squared. That was the first time I knew that I should not be asking my teacher what am I going to use this for. So when I took the diameter,
all those x cube and all those things.
No, I mean it's used. It may not be used by everyone. But the interesting thing though is that is the fact that it makes you a critical thinker.
That's it.
So you are not using it directly. But indirectly, it's influencing the way you think and the way you think things. So mathematics is the king of the world.
And so now, I know we're going to get the picture, not ready now, but we saw you in front of a classroom.
Yes.
Teaching.
Yes.
As a deputy minister.
Yes.
Why?
It's fun. There's nothing more fun than
teaching.
Being with the children and teaching.
This
happened, first time happened in Bepoa. And Asechre district. I was on my way to Adutwum senior high school. And I was passing in front of a school. And I decided to stop and go there and see what was going on. So I parked my car unplanned. And most of my visits are unplanned. So I parked my car, walked inside the school. Only about 3 out of the 12 teachers were there at the time. And then there was a class that have worked on where they previously work on the properties of arithmetic.
Okay.
Commutative property and associative property and all those good stuff. So I just asked them to give me a chalk, and they found a piece of chalk for me.
Wow.
And I began to work with them.
Did they know who you were?
No, they had no idea, but they were excited. It was at the tail end that they saw. But when I walked in, had my tie, at least they thought I was a good guy.
Really?
Yeah, so I took my chalk
And started
teaching
So
them.
did the headmaster or any of the teachers, even when you were middle or towards the end, did they know who you were?
What happened was that the district director of education was passing by and saw a black Land Cruiser and figured that it might be somebody important.
Right.
So he parked next to me and then came to the class and saw me there. And then he stayed there till I finished teaching the class.
Wow.
And I went around the school.
And you taught the full class?
Yeah, I mean, for about 30 minutes I was with them. So we had a nice time. It delayed my time of arrival at Adutwum.
But your first love took over?
Oh, yeah, I couldn't resist. I've taught a number of classes that didn't show up in the media, even my constituency. Kontanasi, I went there, they were preparing for BEC, and I taught the class. And then I went to Adutwum, and the teacher was not there too, so we started doing some mathematics.
Did the students ask for selfies?
Of course, at Adutwum, they were very happy. We took pictures with them. But it's so much fun. And the teacher sent me, after seeing that on social media, she sent me something on WhatsApp. And what she said was that what we did today has changed me forever. And I said, why? She said, if a deputy minister will stop and teach in a village school, it tells me as a teacher I have to calm down and relate to my kids well. And so what you've done has changed my life forever. And that to me is the most important thing. The most important thing is you see opportunities everywhere.
To change people.
Oh, to change people. I went to the library here in Accra, and there was a school next to Independence Avenue School. So the students had come to the library, the central library. And I just loved them. I talked to them, and I've adopted them.
Wow.
So Independence Avenue, Junior High School 3.
That's
during this vacation, I paid for them to be taught by the teachers so that they can do on the BC. And I'm having a ball.
And what's important about that is that school is not in your district.
No, it's not. I mean, I'm the father of all the children. So it's fun to be everywhere.
Yeah. And you also donated some chairs and tables.
Yeah, there's a school that I donated to the government.
Okay.
I built a private school when I was in the U.S. in Ghana, in my village.
Okay.
Town. If I say village, they will be angry.
Yeah.
So town.
It's a town. It's a big difference.
Yeah, it's huge now. When we grew up, it was a village. Now it's a big town. So I don't want to infuriate them.
No problem.
It's a big town. And I built a private school there. I gave it to the government.
Okay.
And then there was a building that was almost completed. No, it wasn't halfway. And the government has completed it.
Okay.
I look at the building and how beautiful it is. And I'm saying to myself, I should put in furnitures that befit the status of the building. So I decided to bring some furniture from US.
Very good. Very good. What has it been like being an MP?
It's fun.
I've always wondered.
It's fun.
Parliament, you college educated, been to United States, taught in school and everything, but your colleagues, we've seen some horror stories where some people can, I mean, I don't mean to be politically incorrect, but how is it to be with colleagues who may not be as, what am I saying, when it comes to enacting laws, not quite where they should be? Let me put it this way.
I mean, first of all, let me tell you one thing. I've seen that Parliament, in terms of colleagues and people they are the nicest people that you can meet.
Okay.
Anywhere.
Okay.
Because every one of them come there with some determination to do something.
Okay.
Even if they don't end up doing it the way we want it, people who come there have a heart for their constituents.
And that is across the board.
Across the board.
Yeah,
you can find it. When you talk to people, everybody's coming to you and say, can I get this for my constituents?
Okay.
Can I do this? When it's placement, whatever it is, everybody in Parliament wants to make sure that their constituents become better off.
Okay.
Of course, we all have different dispositions and training, but there's no one I've met in Parliament who is not eager to do something so that the constituents will be better off than where he met them.
That is significant, because if you're watching this, I know politicians have acquired some negative perceptions. Everything wrong in society, we blame it on politicians. on some of my jangles, I've already said that, and I'm of the firm belief that as citizens, we're probably worse off than the politicians. But to hear an MP say that across the board, MPP, NDC, doesn't matter, all the politicians in Parliament are looking to do something good for country and for their constituency. That is something that we can go on break on. So we'll be right back. Just stay tuned.
Hello, this is Nanansa, and you're watching Homeland, the Story of the Returnee, where we dive into the perspective of the diaspora in and out of Ghana. It's fun, engaging, and motivational.
I think Ghana is a wonderful place. I love Ghana. I truly do.
We need our diasporans for our country to develop to where it should be.
Hey! Come on, turn around. Turn around, let me see.
Make a date with me right here on DNT every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Homeland. Brain drain, brain gain.
Welcome back. This is Diaspora Weekly, and my guest is Honorable Deputy Minister of Education, Honorable Yao. I have to add a doctor.
Oh,
Dr.
you don't have
Yao
to.
Osei
You don't have
Adutwum. No, you earned it. You earned it. We have to give it to you. When we were going on break, you mentioned your experience in Parliament. We're going to transition to your experience as a minister, but in Parliament, how does it work between Parliament and you're actually in between the legislature and the executive? What's the experience been like?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting experience, but I want you to know that something that really excites me about Parliament is the fact that your presence in Parliament can change somebody's future.
Look at that.
You know, because if you look at the work I'm doing in my constituency, building a STEM academy, I could have just built this rectangular shaped buildings, one for the community, and I'm done. But I decided I needed to leave a legacy and do something big.
Okay.
So the old school buildings there are now being pulled down, and I'm using my common fund. The people are donating to me, GMPs, other people are supporting our efforts, and we're able to build a whole beautiful campus, which may compare to what you find in America.
Wow.
So my whole thing has been that I want to do something that will make the people truly know that I came and I made a difference. And whenever I travel, for example, and I go through, they take me through the diplomatic kind of route where they don't even search you and you go through. Whenever I end and I'm waiting for my staff, what I always reflect on is that how could I have gotten here without my people?
There you go.
If Bosomtwe decided not to vote for me, I couldn't have had this opportunity.
Yes.
So what am I doing in return for them? There's never a day where I don't think about what can I do to make Bosomtwe a better place for the people who voted for me. And I believe that a number of people think that way. And when you look at life as a deputy minister, of course you're a deputy minister. So it's different. I've led organizations. Before I left, I built schools from scratch, created a network of schools in Los Angeles, about 200 workers. So I was leading. And then I come because the president asked me to come and support him, and he asked me to be a deputy minister. I have to learn to follow again.
You got it.
In order to be able to do what I have to do. To make the president's vision come through.
Very good.
So you have to balance the two, changing roles, leading and becoming a follower, and then from there, making sure that you can do what is best for the country and for your president, and then not also forgetting your constituents.
I want to bring something to your attention. I don't know if you know this, but as the MP for Bosomtwe, right? There is I had a visit here with one of the owners of hotel owners, and they said that some people have mounted a barrier when you're going to, Bosomtwe is a very nice vacation area, but he said their business is suffering because these people are charging for a toll 5 cities per head, not per car. Is that legal?
Yeah, it's from the assembly. But interestingly, about a month ago, we had a meeting with all the hotel owners, and they brought up some of these issues, especially on vacation, on holidays, where they're expecting people to go to their hotels. And on those days, the charges, which is more than 5 cedis, then prevent people from coming to the hotel. So we are working with them on that. It came up. What you said just came up at a meeting with them about a month ago at the lake. We met with all the hotel owners and it came up. So the district assembly is going to have to do something about it.
Very good. But do the districts have the latitude to charge such exorbitant rules?
I think the district assembly have that. They can collect tolls. These are tolls. Yeah, and 5 cities is not a lot of money. I think they were complaining more about what happens when there's a big event at the lake, the Easter Mondays, where they bring artists and they charge about 50 cedis or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, because people come to see the artists, right? So the question is, to the people at the toll booth, they cannot know where you are going once you pass the booth. So they don't know whether you are not going to the entertainment or you are going to the entertainment place. So what we need to put in place now will be, you can charge the regular toll, but there has to be a second barrier to Abono, to the town. And in case you want to go to that location where there is event, then they have to look for your ticket.
Okay.
Yeah, so that
I see what you mean. So the 50 is actually, they're trying to put in the cover charge.
Yeah, for the artist.
For the artist.
Yeah, so that should not be charged, in my opinion, at the booth.
Front. Right.
It has to be when you reach the lake.
Okay.
And then if you decide that you are going to where the event is,
then you
should be charged.
Then you pay.
Yeah, because people can, before they get to the Abono, which is like the main town there, you can go to your left to Obo, another place where there are hotels, in Koyu where there are hotels. You can also go to your right. And also there are hotels there. So if you are charged 50 cedis and because of that you don't go, then you are depriving the hotel owners of critical business.
But this poll that I'm talking about, they said it's per head. Is that normal?
No, it's per head, yeah.
Per head, okay. All right. Now, we want to switch to free SHS. As I included in my jangle, free SHS, you have a whole lot of people who think it's a great idea, including this person here. But then you see people saying, oh, we could have used the money for somewhere else. Or why couldn't we just make it tuition only? Why should we pay for everything? Is it fair? All the questions. What do you say to those people?
You know, the bottom line is this. Free senior high school is not just a campaign promise. We have to look at ourselves 62 years ago, independent nation, various African countries becoming independent, and historians at the time, now, are writing about it. And they are saying that at that time, economists were projecting the African countries were going to develop faster than Asian countries. And it was all based on resources. Africans have gold, they have diamond, they have everything that you can think of. And therefore, they will have the better opportunity of developing faster than Asian countries that didn't have the resources. Asian countries, knowing that they didn't have the resources, focus every attention on education. And the rest is history. When you look at 1960, the per capita income of Ghana is $189. South Korea was $158, right? Who was richer? Ghana, obviously. Now, look at what is happening now.
They make cars for us to drive.
No, you can't even compare. You can't even compare. And what they will tell you is that it was through education. And if you study them and what they did, as the economies were improving, they were investing heavily in education. They were not looking at any other thing. It wasn't about we can do something else. It was about the only thing we're going to do is education. The 3 most important things to them was education. And then they married it with industry in such a way that when industry is looking towards heavy manufacturing, then they enhance engineering so that those engineers will work in heavy manufacturing. So you really could see them leveraging education for rapid socioeconomic transformation, and that's what happened. Now, we did not do it. Now, if you look at the difference, South Koreans were here recently, and they were going to give us a loan to build a university through their SM Bank, and we met with them. And there were 3 graphs that they showed. The first graph was about the per capita income of South Korea and Ghana in 1960. We were better than them. Then they showed us the next graph, which was per capita income of South Korea and Ghana now. Of course, they are way ahead of us. And then they said, what do you guys think made us better than you? Why did we get ahead of you? That was their question to us as Ghanaians in our own country, asking us, why am I better than you?
Look at that.
We're scratching our heads in shame, our head in shame. And then they asked, they showed us the third graph because we couldn't answer. And the third graph was the comparison of South Korea and Ghana in one education metric called the gross tertiary enrollment ratio. Tertiary enrollment ratio measures the percentage of the youth between 18 and 23 who are in tertiary education at any point in time.
Could you say that again? Gross
tertiary enrollment ratio.
Okay.
So you look at the youth between the ages of 18 to 23. Out of every 100, how many are in tertiary education? And that is one of the most important predictors of socioeconomic transformation.
Don't even want to see what those numbers were.
Yeah, South Korea, 93.6%.
Look at that.
Ghana, 16.19%.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
And Ghana's average happened to be one of the best in Africa.
South
Africa is about 19-something%. Ghana, and African average is 7%. So that's
GTER, gross tertiary enrollment ratio. Yeah. 16% Ghana.
16.1.
93 Korea.
Yeah.
And the average in Africa is
7%.
Wow.
So that is what really puts Ghana in what I call the African mediocrity trap.
Okay.
Because you look at what is happening in Africa and then say, oh, Ghana, we are better off. I recently we took a local flight to the airport. Some guys were behind me passing through the new domestic airport, who used to be in the international, and those guys were giggling and laughing, comparing that airport, which is a domestic one, to the international airport of Niger. And they were so happy and say, Ghana there, ETA.
Really?
If you look at our domestic airport, go and look at Niger, the international airport doesn't match this. And I was saying to myself, why are you not comparing our international airport to that of Dubai? So that it will create a sense of urgency for us to do more.
Better.
But invariably, we got caught up in the African mediocrity trap, which say that even with those low numbers, we are better. But why are we not better than South Korea? When we have the brains, our children are ready to learn. You walk into a Ghanaian classroom. For those of you who have taught abroad, you come to a Ghanaian classroom, and you wish you could stay there the whole day because the children are so respectful. They stand up, greet you. And if we cannot teach these children so that in a knowledge economy, we can develop their human capacity and make them the best in the world to compete with the rest of the world, it's our fault as adults and not that of the children.
Well said, Deputy Minister of Education, Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum. We're going on a quick break. On the free SHS thing, we're not done yet. I still got him. We'll be right back.
From the studios of DNT.
If you don't trust the police, that is fine.
He's not doing his work. What else can you do?
Dunso is back.
Okay, so who is going to jail for this one?
You wait for things to happen before you move in.
So far, 3 suspects, and we don't even have one Ghanaian being part of it. This is what my book is telling me, that you're wrong. So you're wrong.
People are impatient to follow the right procedure.
You like free things. Education has never been free. I keep saying this.
It's not like people apply that I want separation. The ultimate is that I want you out.
Forget that you're a man, so I cannot tell you that you're wrong.
If I buy something, it's like, it's not for any man. If you are married and you're happy, be happy.
This is the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Welcome back to Diaspora Weekly. My name is Jermaine Nkrumah. I'm honored to be joined by Honorable Dr. Osei Adutwum, a Deputy Minister of Education. Initially,
SHS.
Yeah, initially, you said when we were talking about the school that you went to, you said you couldn't afford Prempeh, so you went to Jachi Pramso. You went to school, came back and pounded fufu. Me too, I did the same thing. And so some of the things that we hear about SHSs, if someone wants to go to Prempeh, Fanspem, all those high-flying schools, let them pay their way and just pay the tuition for everybody. Why? How is it fair for me go to school, come back, pound fufu, it's free, and then go and enjoy all those perks in boarding school? That's also free. Why was that?
Actually, let me connect the cross-section enrollment thing with the high school, and then I come to the high school.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was laying the foundation and saying that Free Senior High School is not about a campaign promise.
Okay.
It's about what you have to do in order to turn around your country.
Okay.
Because if gross tertiary enrollment ratio is the most important predictor of socioeconomic transformation,
now I'm going to
then you don't have high school.
Yeah.
How do you get there?
Yeah.
So your numbers will never improve because majority of your students, almost about 50%, couldn't go to senior high school.
Okay.
So you have to open the floodgates of senior high, then get the numbers going up, then get a critical minds that can take care of your country and change your country, because you can then lift up your gross tertiary enrollment ratio. Then the question that people ask is what you're asking about. If somebody can go to Prempeh and somebody can go to Opokwa, maybe you want them to pay in Prempeh.
Yeah, pay for their boarding and their feeding and everything,
Okay,
and then who come to home.
Yeah, you see, the thing is this. We have questions. The question is, do you want to create a society where the rich and the poor will commingle? And one day through that network, I'll be able to call you up if you happen to be the rich guy and say, oh, Jermaine, you remember your friend in Prempeh? I need help with this. You give me a helping hand that will lift up my children, and support me to do something that I couldn't have done.
Okay.
That is as equally important as the education itself that we are getting.
So egalitarianism.
Egalitarianism. Okay. And also, one of the things that in this country is very hard to do is means testing. You know, in the US, that when you are going to college, means testing kicks in. I may be sitting next to you. We may have the same GPA. We may have the same SAT score. You may go there on a full ride. Because you come from a poor family.
Yes.
Based on your tax.
Right.
Because everybody has to file their tax.
Yeah.
The moment you get admitted, you go and do your FAFSA, which is the financial aid forms, and you have to bring your parent tax returns.
Yeah.
Based on the tax returns, the government is able to know you can go to school for free because your parents don't make much.
Yes.
So you can get federal funding, or you can get even the school's own scholarship and other things. Of course, merit-based scholarship is there, but need-based financing is the largest chunk of the
need-based.
Need-based.
Yeah.
So how do you do need-based when you don't have means testing in place?
Okay.
So for example, if I'm a cocoa farmer, right? How do you determine my income? Maybe you may want me to bring everything, my passbook or something. But if I do plantain farms, how do I declare my income? Maybe an honor code system where you have to ask me, tell me how much you make.
Right.
So the means testing that people are bringing about and talking about at this time in our socio-economic transformation stage, do we have a means testing regime that will allow us to do this? If not, why don't we do it for everyone? Because if you really look at what is going on in terms of taxes, right? That daughter of the chief director who will not qualify for free senior high school because we know that that's income, that income probably is not the highest.
So if
but that's the income that we know.
Yeah, I think you brought in something that I never looked at. So this means testing that's being used to determine that can take a child from Harlem and put him or her in the same classroom with a child from Beverly Hills because that child passed and his GPA scores and everything puts him there. You are saying that the thinking behind why everything should be free is that if a child is from a not so great neighborhood, but that child is able to score the BEC at a certain level, then they can get to choose wherever. Is that, in other words, is the score becoming the substitute for the mean test? And I want you to connect the dots.
Actually, the means test is more along the lines of finance, right?
Right.
and people are saying,
yeah,
if I can pay, I should pay, right?
right.
And this is a question I asked the last time this argument came up in a forum. And I said, okay, if your child is sent to, I said Antoine at the time, but I said, if your child is sent to Jache Pramso, would you pay?
Yeah.
Are you
Oh,
sure?
no, well, no, I won't pay.
If I rather say that,
right.
If you want to, Achimota is there.
Yeah,
Will
I'll
you pay? You pay,
Yeah.
right? So Prempe, you pay. Opokware, you pay.
Yeah.
But Jache Pramso, so what is going
What
to...
about cut your coat according to your size? Or
No,
if you know
no,
you can't
no,
pay,
when
have
they
your
cut-
child choose.
No, when they cut their coat according to your size, it's not about his coat. It's our coat as a nation.
Okay.
There are very few high schools that produce medical doctors in Ghana.
Which are?
Oh, Wesley Girls, Presec, Abri Girls, very few of them are the ones who produce medical doctors in Ghana.
So then how do you determine who gets to go there?
Of course, because of the BEC scores.
Scores, okay.
Recently, the Minister of Education introduced another kind of affirmative action program that allows children from public schools to have 30% of the spots in the high-performing schools, right?
Okay.
And people have been arguing about that. But that is what, for the first time, enables students from remote areas to come to Achimota,
okay,
remote areas to go to Aburi,
okay,
and that kind of thing.
Okay.
But what we are saying is this. If you talk about the means testing, we better have a better regime in place.
Okay.
Who is richer? Is that the chief director of a ministry whose salary I know, or the spare parts dealer at Abosoakai?
Right.
Who is richer? Do I know anybody's income? You don't. So means testing at this point is something that is very difficult. I think the commitment is this. Very few people are paying taxes, right?
Okay.
And if you begin to talk about if you can afford, you have to pay. The few people who are paying taxes are going to be the few people who are still going to pay their school fees.
Yeah.
Because the vast majority of the people who don't file taxes.
Okay. So there's a whole lot of reasons
why at this
now
stage
I'm much better educated about it, because to be honest with you, when people ask me that, I did not have an answer to them, but now it makes sense. Basically, nothing should be a barrier for a child who, if you get the scores, you should be able to get the school that you want. So,
yeah, I mean, good. And then, but what we also need to do is to recognize that parents were making substantial contributions to education.
Okay.
They were building school buildings and putting up dining halls in some schools.
Right.
That's why the parents are well to do.
Right.
So what we need to do is to do what we do in America called development managers and vice president for development. In every non-profit organization like a school, you have a VP for development.
Okay.
That person's sole responsibility is to mobilize stakeholders to contribute to the development of the school.
Okay.
So we shouldn't do free senior high school and then say that our parents cannot contribute.
Okay.
We are taking away the levy element of the contribution.
Okay.
Then we have to train schools to have not if not vice president, but vice principal or assistant headmaster in charge of development. Okay. That person's sole responsibility is to look for additional resources from parents, from old students, from other stakeholders to really bring more resources to the school. So what government cannot do, the development office is able to support the school and bring in more resources. So since we are doing something that is not uniquely Ghanaian and we are borrowing from somewhere, we have to also begin to look at, okay, in those places where government pays for everything and therefore they don't levy parents, what is it that they do to bring in money?
Okay.
And we have to begin to train and set up a policy regime that really helps support headmasters and support our school operators so that we can bring in more resources to complement the efforts of the school. So if a parent is rich, that's opportunity. Opportunity to say, I did not pay these fees and I'm giving it to the school, and it's acknowledged in writing.
But in Ghana, do we have that kind of giving spirit, though?
People give a lot. People give a lot, but we have also created the legal framework that motivates giving. You know, in the US, one of the rationale for giving is that you can deduct it from your tax. Not dollar for dollar, but for every dollar you donate, you may have about 20 cents
That you can write off.
You can write off for your taxes.
Right.
So you have to create that regime that even tax.
And that's in Parliament right now?
No, it's not. Those are ideas that I think we need to pursue.
Okay.
Even issues about tax exempt bond financing, municipal bonds, right? If East Legon was an independent city and they were to float bonds to do their roads and build their hospitals, if you purchase those bonds, the interest on it become tax free. So there's an incentive for you to contribute to your own community, knowing that you have a tax advantage and your city is looking nice. So what I'm looking at is, whenever we embark on this adventure of doing something that we borrow from somewhere, we also look at other things that those countries did.
In accompaniment of it. Got it.
And that's one of the things that happened with our education reform when we went to junior high school and 3 years senior high school, without looking at those countries that were doing what they were doing, what resources they were giving to poor communities in the US, for example, because everybody's going 12 years. Those from poor neighborhoods get more support from the government. And many years ago, those of us in the rural areas, what we took for granted was the middle school. Those from rich homes go from primary 6, go to senior high school. We did the middle school. By the time you get to secondary school, you were mature to compete.
Tell me about the double track. What's the rationale behind? That's also been criticized heavily.
I mean, double track is on track, and it's doing exactly what it was meant to do. As I told you, I started teaching in Los Angeles in 1994. And in 1994, there was a huge influx of Latinos coming to Los Angeles from South America. In addition to that, the government also decided, the state decided, that high school should be 4 years and not 3 years in California. And when that happened, it meant that more buildings should be constructed. But even in California, there was no money to do that. So they used California. So they did a year round, which is our version of the double track, so that they can accommodate more students.
They did a double track there?
Oh, yeah.
Why do I have a feeling you brought this double track idea?
I mean, I taught in it for 10 years.
Is that yours?
I taught in it for 10 years. So I had experience. So when the opportunity came, I knew this was what we could use.
So you are the architect of the double track?
I will not say that. I have a minister who is in charge of the Ministry of Education.
But you went to meetings?
I taught in the program for 10 years, so I knew what could be a solution. Because before Free Senior High School was implemented by His Excellency the President, estimates which had been carried, research which had been done, showed that it was going to take 20 years for Ghana to implement Free Senior High School. It was going to take 20 years for us to put up all the buildings so that everybody
that was, to me, that was a non-starter.
But it was the real issue that they were looking at. What they were saying was the truth. That you were not going to be able to build all the schools for everybody to go unless you came up with an innovative strategy. And if you read the Brookings Institution book that has just been published about leapfrogging inequality, they are saying that it's going to take 126 years for developing countries to catch up with developed nations in education. 126. I see they will be waiting for us.
They'll be going.
They'll be going. So, if your country wants to develop, you have to look for leapfrogging strategies. And it comes from economic concept of leapfrogging. You know how the frog moves? They leap.
That's right.
They leap.
While somebody is crawling.
While somebody is crawling, the frog is leaping and he's ahead of you. So what it means is this. If you want to develop and want to transform your education system in this knowledge economy so you can compete with the rest of the world, you have to leapfrog. And leapfrogging means that you may have to leapfrog in terms of access, find a different way to allow everybody to go, which we've done with Free Senior High School, and double track is the leapfrogging strategy for access. And then you have to do leapfrogging strategy for quality. So people are going to say, we don't have science labs. How do you think we can teach the children? Then you say to yourself, we are not going to wait till we build all the we call the wet labs. So what we're going to do is to use simulation labs, which is called virtual labs. When you do virtual labs, the experiment is just like we're doing the real lab. The only thing is that when you simulate it on the computer, you don't touch it. when you say that you can't add sodium to some kind of chemical, you add it, it won't blow up in your face.
Yeah.
So it even allows you to experiment more. I was at the Open University in UK 2 weeks ago, visiting their campus. The experiment that they do in a virtual lab format is more meaningful than the experiment that you do using a regular lab. So this is where we have to leapfrog.
There you go. Finally, I want to talk to you about what happened at Independence Square. What happened?
I was not here.
Okay.
And I think it had been, my minister has explained it very well in terms of what happened there. And the good news, though, is this. I've always told people that without parents and without schools, we will not have Ministry of Education.
Okay.
So parents are a most important partner. So I feel bad when parents are inconvenienced in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And Adutwum visions is clear. He wants every child to have the opportunity to go to senior high school. So whenever issues like Independence Square happens, it's just a bump in the road.
Okay.
The fundamental question is, do we have the resources to take care of them? Yes, we do. Do we have some challenges sometimes placing students where they should go? Yes, it happens. But it doesn't take away from the fact that the president is committed and the Ministry of Education is committed that every child should be given the opportunity to access secondary education and not just access, go there, but also have quality education so that we can turn around the fortunes of this country once and for all.
Very good. And my final couple of minutes, we normally spend a lot of time on diaspora input. And because of your position and the fact that we have to talk about education quite a bit, we neglected that a bit. And so for the final 2 minutes, I want you to take me through what you brought from the diaspora to the table.
One thing that I've always told people that as a CEO of New Designs Education Group, I was paid very well.
Okay.
And some
Here
people
or
over there.
like,
Some people thought I was crazy to leave that and come here.
Oh, yeah.
But the most important thing I brought to Ghana was not the fact that I was able to make some money in America and attain the American dream. It was the can-do attitude I saw in my 26 years of living in the United States, where the dream is possible.
Nobody can tell you can't do it.
No, you can't do it.
Yeah.
It's all about you determined that you're going to do it. And then by the time you realize you've done it, if it wasn't for that kind of spirit, how can an immigrant kid, a child or adult at that time like me, somebody who grew up so poor and couldn't, it was even difficult to go to Diaspora, find myself in America, and I'm hiring Americans to work for me.
There you go.
There are times when I have to pinch myself and say, is this me? Because when I walk into a room where I'm hiring 2 people, and you have all these white guys sitting there waiting for me, I enter the room, everybody stands up, and I shake the hands of the people, and I go and sit in my office and say, how did I get here? How did I get here?
Wow.
But it was by the grace of God that by dint of hard work and fierce determination to succeed, telling myself that nobody can take this dream away from me, and whatever the white man can do, I can do and probably do better. And that attitude is the most important thing I bring to Ghana. And that is why I see opportunities everywhere. When people are complaining about, they ask me, I've just spoken did a keynote in Kenya, and I just spoke in UK. And the questions that the UK educationists and those from around the world who went to the event were asking me was, how do you compare America to Ghana? And what are the challenges? And I say, genuinely, I don't see challenges. I see opportunities everywhere. I see opportunity to turn around the fortunes of a child. Getting a child to move from point A to B, a place where he never dreamt he would be, understanding that it's not about the Ghanaian nightmare, but we can make the nightmare become a dream and actually transform our country. Seeing the future of the country ahead of me, and I'm saying to myself, wow. This is what we need to do.
Honorable Minister, you notice we didn't even take a sip of our drink because the conversation has been so.
Talking to you.
I'm telling you. But what you told me, what you ended with, is what I've lived by. Look, a person's true worth is neither position nor material gains, but how much progressive ground has been covered in obtaining them. I mean, when you look at a Yachi Pramso boy.
In Kumasi High School.
In Kumasi High School. all the way to LA, where the rich and famous play, and you were a CEO, and you walk in, people stand up. That's a lot of progressive ground that you've covered. And so when you walk in a room, and the son of Bill Gates walk in a room, he's no better than you.
No.
He hasn't covered any ground.
No.
He was born by a millionaire and he grew up to be a billionaire. Big deal.
Yes.
Honorable, thank you.
Thank you for the
You've
invite.
been watching Diaspora Weekly. My name is Jermaine Nkrumah, and we've been blessed to have Honorable Dr. Yao Osei Adutwum, Deputy Minister of Education and also MP for Bosomtwe. It was nice having you around.